Welcome back to the Purpose-Filled Ambitions podcast. We have two guests joining us today. They're actually best friends and want to do the podcast together. Our first guest is a junior at Avila, headed to nursing school. She's also the worship leader at VCC. And the next guest is out of college. She's now a preschool teacher, and she's the kids pastor at VCC. Please welcome Tessa Bosserman and Avery Hollis. What's going on, guys? How we doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. I'm excited to have you guys on. What are your guys' thoughts on being on the podcast?
I'm excited. I'm excited too.
Let's do this.
People doubted us, but this is the best podcast. I know it.
Let's do it.
They're not gonna do it. We're like,
I never doubted.
hey, thanks, Jack. Yes, thank you.
So what are you guys up to right now? What do you got going on in life?
Well, I just had a baby 3.5 weeks ago. He'll be a month old on Saturday. But yeah, so life's been crazy, a whole shift adjustment, but he's doing great and he's so sweet and we love him so much.
Let's go. Avery, what about you? What do you got going on?
I just finished my sophomore year of college, and now I'm just working a lot, going over to see the baby all the time, and working at Children's Mercy right now as a tech, so that's fun. Getting my foot in the door with nursing, so that's exciting.
Let's go. So talk to me about like expectations versus reality. Like for Tessa, like 9 months of carrying a baby and like all that and just the expectation, like now you're like living it out. Like what's that been like?
In my opinion, the pregnancy was a lot harder than having a newborn.
Okay.
But it's crazy. Like everything has changed. Every single thing you do, literally you don't get a moment alone. Literally you have to relearn how to like live life. And so navigating that has been kind of hard sometimes, but for the most part, it's been really easy because it feels like I've just always had him. He's always been in my life. So it's just learning and growing all together is a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Avery, what about you? Just the college life and what you expected going, like, were you expecting to go into nursing school? Was that the whole plan or?
Yeah, it's been a plan for like as long as I can remember. It's definitely hard. I've had some bumps in the road. I've cried multiple times, but I mean, I'm getting through it, so it's good.
Let's go.
It's definitely like, college is not for the weak. It's crazy. It's insane, but it's getting through it, so that's good. 2 more years and I'm done. So
Yep, that's awesome. And it's cool to see like you had a plan originally with your goals and like now you're there, and so that's got to be a great feeling for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna be honest, I've never really done a podcast with two people, so we're gonna be asking questions. Tessa's gonna answer, Avery's gonna answer, and we're gonna see how this goes. So let's into it. First question I got for you. This season of life can be hard, just in your 20s, growing up, young adult. Has there been a moment in your life where you had to pivot, and what was that like?
I would say mine is my freshman year of college. So I went to college at the University of Kansas for 1 year. I was a cheerleader, and I ended up walking away from that after 1 year. I found that being in cheer, it was so busy and so time consuming, and it took so much out of me, like mentally, physically, that I wasn't spending as much time with God and in my walk with God. And so after my first year, I just was a completely different person than who I was when I went into college. And so that was kind of my pivot moment of like, you need to get your life together kind of thing. And ultimately that ended in me choosing to walk away from college, but it led me to a whole bunch of other stuff, which we'll get into later. But I'm very thankful for that moment and very thankful for my experience with that because I've grown up in church. I've always been a part of church. So I never had a moment where I wasn't in church until I went to college. And so that moment was like, it broke me, but it also helped me grow.
That's awesome. Avery, what about you?
I would definitely say my senior year of high school, I wanted to focus more on the worldly things, and I was like, I don't want to be a part of church. I was like, I want to go and explore. Like, I just want to go do all these other things because yes, they have great lives, but I'm just like, maybe my life is different and needs to be somewhere else. And so it was definitely like my path, and I was not thinking about anything else, and I was just on the track of wanting to go somewhere else, not be a part of the things at home. So that was probably a big pivotal moment, but yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people like in this age just like have that moment where like, all right, I was doing one thing and I got to do other thing just because like we're young, we're learning, and it just happens.
And you also see other people do it too, because you're like, oh, they're doing it. It's like, what could happen? Like, it could be good. And now it's like, I see what can happen if you're not eyes on God and all that.
So looking back, what helped you rebuild or rekindle your faith?
So, like I said, I dropped out of college, but after my first year, I just noticed during that first year, I wasn't doing what I felt like God wanted me to do. The end goal was to always be involved in the church, a wife, and a mom.
Mhm.
I didn't realize that that was something that I just needed to do sooner for myself. So going to school, it kind of felt like a waiting period, and it was very, very hard mentally. I was like the most depressed I'd ever been because obviously I wasn't doing anything to help grow my faith, and I was running from God because I was just kind of frustrated with growing up that way, and I thought that, something else would be out there better for me. But dropping out and coming home, I realized that like these people, so people at Valley, like my parents and Caleb and Alyssa and Avery and just all the connections that I had at Valley Community Church were building me up and helping me grow as a person. And I really could be myself and my true self there and not at school. I was a completely different person at school, someone I didn't like and someone I didn't want to know anymore. And that's why I made that tough decision. I don't think that you go to college and you completely change and you can't be a Christian at school. I'm not saying that. But for me, I was running and I felt like that was like my escape. And so cutting that off and being home and, I was able to have like deeper conversations with my parents and thank them for forcing me to go to church because I never saw what serving and being a part of church can do until I walked away from it. So I'm thankful for that experience. But at the same time, I knew that that's not where God wanted me to be.
That's good. That's good. Avery, what about you?
I would definitely say like I was serving a lukewarm faith. I was very like all in it for the high school life and trying to figure out where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. And I was very much at church and like I was two different people and I was like, that's not what I wanted to see myself as. I was like, who, like, again, like what Tessa said, like, who are you? Like, this is not who you are. And I felt I was more going to the path of wanting to step away from a lot of things. And I felt like Caleb and Alyssa, Jen and Jason, Tessa, like all of them, they were just like, are you okay? Are you like, sure? They're not pushing me, but they're more of just like, let's rethink this for a second. Me and Tessa like had a deep conversation and like the Sonic parking lot, and we were like, hey, like you need to be real right now. Like, is this really what you want to do? Do you want to live your life the way that these other people are? Like, is this serving you? And I was like, no, like it's not. And it was just like, it was definitely a tough moment, but also a really good moment that shaped me for like who I am today right now. So that's pretty
Well, there was a moment that for you, I'm gonna interject for Avery, but
good.
there was a moment where she was asked to be a leader at youth,
Yeah, okay.
and she turned it down,
Yeah.
and she was like, "No, I want to go to college. Like, I just want to
Yeah.
do this." And I heard about that, and I pulled her into my car, kidnapped her, and I got real, and I cried, and I honestly raised my voice and was not the nicest at some points, but I was very passionate about the fact that like I just walked through this. You saw how depressed I was and how far I was from God. This is where you need to be. Like, even if it's not at Valley, even if it's not with me, like you need a relationship with God, and walking away from that is just going to put you into a dark space. And the people that you were wanting to go to school with and just all this stuff, it just wasn't who Avery was. And it was very similar to the story that I just walked through. And I really wanted her to not go down the same path I did. So I'm glad we were able to collab there. And
Yeah. I would definitely say, yeah, like when Caleb came to me and came to me and Hayden, he was like, hey, like, we really want you to be a part of youth. And I was like, no. I was just like cold hearted, no, I'm done. Like, it's not that like I don't love you guys. It's more of just like I'm ready to like be on my own
Yeah.
and like spread my wings and do all these things. And Caleb and Alyssa were like, they're like expecting that from me. And I was just like, I still like look back and I'm like, I can't believe I just told the two people that I'm like hold here like near and dear to my heart. I'm just like, I can't believe I just told them no. Like,
Yeah.
I was just kind of like,
I knew it wasn't you.
yeah. And in that moment, I was like, I even went back to them and I was like crying. I'm like, I can't believe I told you guys no. Like, I don't want to, like, I do want to be a part of this and I want to be a part of the youth and I want to be close with all of you guys. And they're like, okay, like, yeah, we knew this wasn't what you like wanted to do. And I was like, I really do want to be a part of this because it's something special. So it's like, and now I'm in it today and I'm like, I'm glad I said yes. And I listened to Tessa's word and I'm like, yes.
You guys' stories are very, very cool and firing me up a little bit. You can just tell you're very intentional about relationships and you take it very seriously, which is cool. And I think what kind of like led Rain and I to VCC, like you get in the room with people who just really care about each other and like just relationships. So it's really awesome. So now talk to me about like your two relationship and how that's all been.
Okay. Avery, so obviously I didn't say this before. My parents are the pastors and who started Valley Community Church. My dad is Jason Williams, and Avery was one of the people that helped us start Valley Community Church, but we were not friends. We are 3 years apart in age. So when we were younger, we just thought that was a big gap and we never talked ever. And then my senior year of high school, it was like perfect timing. We became friends. And I mean, I'm not going to speak for Avery, but I felt like for me at least, she was like my one friend that I had that I could be myself. All my other friends in high school were more worldly and wanted to do things that were kind of out of my comfort zone, but I still did them because I was, young and I wanted to fit in. And Avery was like my one friend that I could be myself and, we could talk about our walk with God and stuff like that. And I'm very thankful for that because then it led me to going to college and being in that like depressed state, but I still had Avery and I still could talk to her. And then I felt like afterwards, when she was about to walk through that same path, I was able to stop her. And I felt like our friendship was just perfect timing and it was such a God thing. And like you said, when people really care about each other, like you can have hard conversations like that
Absolutely.
and lead each other. And that's kind of why I love Valley and why I continue to come back and I never want to leave ever again because they'll never find a group of people who love each other more than how we are at Valley Community Church. And so yeah. Avery, what do you think? What do you think?
I definitely think I look back, I'm like, okay, why weren't we friends like when we first all like started this church? And now it's like it was God's timing. Like in the moment, like the season I was going through, it was so hard for me. Like I look back and I'm like, if I didn't have Tessa during this time, I don't know where my life would be at, honestly. Oh God, I can't look at you. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. But it's like I like the tough moments where I was just kind of like crying to her. I'm like, I don't know why this is happening. I don't know what I'm going through. I don't know why people are doing these things to me. And then she was just the first person I would call, the first person to be like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna say. You're gonna like. She was very godly in her talks with me, but she was also the friend that I needed the most, where I was like going through all those hard times. And I think that was just something special that I've never had with any of my friendships. And it's like, I look back on it, I'm just like, wow, like I can't believe this was just perfect timing too. So definitely good.
For sure. Yeah, that's good stuff. So obviously, like stepping into faith is a big step and a big decision. So how did you know you were stepping into something bigger than just a decision, something like with purpose?
So when I came back from college, I came back and I just dove right back into helping with church stuff. I started helping in youth again, and I started helping in kids' church. And at the time, we had no kids leader, no kids pastor, so it was Caleb doing it. And love Caleb to death, but Parker and I, which is my husband now, we were helping. And Parker came to me one Sunday, and I hadn't even thought about this. And that's how I know this was a God thing. But he came to me and he was like, Tessa, why is Caleb doing kids church when you and I both know that you should be doing it? And I was like, wait, what? And he was like, I'll help you. Like, this could be great for us. Like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, like, you know what? Yeah. And so I started praying about it. And I have always felt called to kids. I love kids. I'm obviously a preschool teacher. I always wanted to be a mom, stuff like that. And so I'm drawn to kids. And so when he came to me, it like sparked something in me and I prayed about it and we went to my dad and we stepped into that role of doing kids church. We've been doing it for almost 3 years now. I think it's 3 years. We have something like that. And it's been amazing helping with the kids and watching them grow and knowing that like this isn't just something you show up on Sundays and do, but I hear stories throughout the week and I'm just so thankful that God led me in that direction and I would not be here if I obviously was still in college. So that's something that I'm definitely thankful for.
Let's go. Let's go. Avery, what about you?
I definitely think with worship, it's been a crazy ride with worship. We started from us three, me, you, and Jenna on what's it called? The stage?
Worship team, yeah.
The worship team, we were literally all three of us. And then now it's just like this, it's blossomed into this whole band. And I think that's crazy. And I think it's really cool how like people like Victor like spoke into my life a few times where I'm just like, I was at my lowest point with like confidence, and I was like, I can't do this, I can't sing the song. I'm very much like, I wasn't like myself. I had no self-esteem. I cried every time I had to sing a song. I just wasn't like, I didn't want to do this. And I was like, I can't do it. And he's like, Avree, like God has a big calling on your life. Like you are leading people with your voice. Like you don't have to be good. You don't have to be great. You just have to do it for God. And I think that's what spoke to me. And now I like look at it. I'm like, okay, if I mess up on the song, yeah, it's going to suck because I'm very hard on myself, but it's like, I'm not doing it for myself and I'm doing it for God. And I'm showing these kids, like, you don't need to be perfect just to be with God. Like, you can do like all these things and like sound bad when you sing, or like you don't know how to speak in front of people, but like you're doing it for him and not you. And I think that's what is really big for me. And I didn't think worship was going to be a big part of my life like it is now. So I think that's pretty great. But yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And just like hearing both your perspectives, it's super cool just because like you guys are at a spot where it's like, okay, like that's what you do and like you're good at it, you're confident at it. And I think with purpose, like purpose comes confidence, and you guys both have that in what you do, which is just super cool to see.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, so now looking at the ambitions and goals you set for yourself at a young age, how does that align with your purpose today?
For me, my goal was, go to a university for 4 years, cheer, get a degree, become a teacher, then get married and then have kids. I kind of went the opposite route of that. I obviously dropped out, but now, with that being said, I'm still able to be a teacher. I'm a preschool teacher at a daycare, which I absolutely love, getting to minister to them, and be another parent to them. And then now I'm obviously the kids pastor at Valley Community Church, which has always been a goal. It's always been a goal to come back and lead and be a part of the church in some way. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, my goal was always to be a wife and a mom. But for me, I realized that I didn't need the 4 years of a waiting period. If that's really what I wanted to be and really what God called me to be and do, then why was I going to wait and make myself like almost miserable for the 4 years when I can start my life now and do what God has always wanted me to do just a little bit sooner?
For sure. Yeah, that's good stuff. Avery, what about you?
I definitely had goals to obviously go to college. I'm still going to college at Avila, but I think it was more like I was focusing on more of my friends, and my goal was like I just wanted to be with my friends. I wanted experiences with them, and I didn't care like what was going to stop me. I just wanted to be with them. And I think my goals were definitely like shifted from them and like wanting to be a part of their lives too. But I definitely say like now looking back, I'm like those goals weren't like for
Yeah.
me now. I'm just kind of like, well, I'm glad I didn't follow some of those, and I'm kind of like, I'm glad I now have better goals for me. So I think it looks a lot brighter for my future.
Yeah, it's interesting like how we set goals for ourselves at a young age and like, okay, I'm going to do this and this is how it's going to go. And then we experience different things in our life and we get older and we meet new people and just stuff happens, and those goals then shift and we understand purpose and what all that looks like, which is
And it's
super cool.
crazy. It's
Go
crazy,
ahead.
like how God like says like he puts a stop to it, and he's just like, no, you're not gonna do that. I'm gonna turn you around, and you're gonna go over here, and you're gonna do this and live out the plan I have for you. And I feel like a lot of my goals were like set for what I wanted in my life and not what God had for me in my life.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's good stuff.
That was my thing too, is like I wanted to go to a university. I wanted to be a cheerleader. That was probably the hardest thing for me, was quitting a sport I've done since I was 3 years old. Like putting a stop to it. But when God says, hey, this is not healthy anymore, this has not become something that I wanted for you, I had to walk away from that. And that was very hard, but it led me to obviously, getting married, buying a house, having a kid, like a lot more things that are a lot more exciting for me and fill me up as a Christian and who I want to be and who I am. And that's all from God. If I would have still been a cheerleader at KU right now, I would not have this, and I probably wouldn't be the same person I am now.
Yeah, that's good. And I think like, you kind of said it, God gives us signs that, oh, you're going the wrong direction. You're going in the wrong direction. So I feel like it can be kind of hard for some people, especially without a faith, like to find those signs that he's trying to give us. Like what were those signs for you guys in those situations?
I can't lie, I was pretty stubborn. I was very much like, I do not want to, I'm not quitting
Still
cheer. I'm
stubborn,
not
but it's
doing
okay.
it. I'm not doing it. I'm still stubborn, but I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not quitting cheer. I saw myself. I felt like I was like looking at myself and watching my life. And I had a lot of like vivid dreams, and I was talking with God. And even though I was running from God, I still found like God was showing up in my life in ways that like I've never experienced before. And it happened mostly when I was home and surrounded by the people that I needed in my life, like the pastors at Valley, Avery, stuff like that. And it just pointed me, it felt right. It felt right being home. It felt right being around those people. At school, I literally was lost. And I knew at the end of the day what the decision was. God told me what I needed to do, but it was a very hard decision to make, obviously, walking away from something I've done my whole life, but it was for the better, like I said.
Yeah, I definitely think like
You're good.
I was like not in it. I definitely think with like what Tessa said, like those people that you surround yourself with, it's like it has a big like impact on like your life now. And I think looking at the people at church and the people that I surround myself there, like I just feel so happy and content. And I'm like, okay, but then when I'm other places, I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Like I don't feel like I'm in a good spot, or I feel uncomfortable in these situations. And I definitely think like being a youth leader for Valley, when going to those camps, like I can definitely like feel God and be like, Avery, you're like right where you need to be, because I struggled for a long time, like thinking like, oh, I should have gone to college with my friends and I should have done this and I should still be doing those things. But then like in the moment I was like, am I doing okay? Am I like living the life that you want me to live? And like in that moment I was like, he was like, yes, you're doing great, like I'm here for you, or you're right where you need to be. And in that moment I was like, okay, like I'm doing everything good. It's hard, but
Yeah.
it's good. So
Yeah,
yeah.
no.
And for me too, like being at school, I felt like things weren't lining up correctly. God wasn't showing up where I wanted him to. And that's not because like we have a bad God or anything like that, but it was because I was walking in my path and not God's path. And whereas now, like at 21 years old, I got married and bought a house, and like God provided. He showed up because that's what he wanted. He wanted me to, be home, be here, plant roots here in Grand Valley and stuff like that. And so he provides when you're on his path and you can feel his presence when you're walking on his path. And when you stray from that, you can definitely feel the distance. And I think that's why I'm so thankful that I'm back on the path that I was supposed to be on.
Absolutely, yeah. You guys are hitting it on the nail for sure. For me, it's like I think about my whys a lot, and like you guys talked about it, like a lot of the whys before following Christ can be selfish, and it's like for me, I want to go to college, get a business degree, and just make a lot of money. And
Yeah.
it's like if you don't have the why behind it, and it's like I just want to have the money for myself and for my family, like okay, then that can be sinful. But if you change the why and to be like, no, like I want to like bless people, I want to like give to the church and do all these things, then it's a whole different perspective for sure.
Absolutely.
I do want to say something, and this is because this was pretty crazy to me. But so we've like talked a lot about giving at church, and like for me, I'm like that's when the selfish part of me comes in. Like, well, why do I need to give my money? Like,
Yeah.
I earned this money, like I worked for it, and I was very much like I didn't start giving until recently. I was like, you know what? I'm going to hand it all to God. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do my 10% and more. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to help the church out. I'm going to do all this. And then it's just like, I just started noticing like blessings and blessings that God was giving. Like, okay, you're helping me out. Like I'm like giving that to the church and all that. And I think like not having those selfish moments is just kind of like, I don't know. I think that's pretty crazy too. Like where God shows up in the time of like don't be selfish and like start giving and like do those godly things. So yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And I had like funny you bring that up. I had the like same exact experience. Rain and I are renovating a house, and like we are putting pennies together, like, but we're still trying to be disciplined in our tithe and understand the why behind all that. And we're like trying to figure out how to get windows in this place. And then all of a sudden, like Facebook Marketplace, $50 Anderson windows comes up, and we're like, what the heck? And so we jump on it, and now I mean it's just crazy.
It's
God
so
shows
crazy
up
how
when you're
God
doing the right
works.
thing.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
And it's like you like add like you give a little, but then he gives like 10 times more. And I'm like, where did this come from? I'm like, I was not expecting that. So I think that's just crazy too.
Absolutely, yeah. So moving on to the next question here. How are you using your story to serve others and influence your community?
Well, I'm thankful for my story, like I said, because I was able to share that with Avery. And if I went through all that to just save Avery, like it was worth it.
Mm-hmm.
but I know too, like I've been able to also share my story with other people as well, and talk to them about, you know, what you want in your life is different than what God has for you and stuff like that. And so I was able to influence her and talk to other people as well within our youth group, because that's a tough spot for a lot of kids that are graduating high school and then going off into college. Like, you're going into this world, and honestly, you don't get a ton of guidance. Like, you just kind of get thrown into it, and you have to make these big decisions. And I think that I was able to help a good amount of people, and I also can share that now with my kids and kids church too, and talking about like even like little decisions you make now have a big effect on who you are when you grow up.
I also think like we don't realize like how big our stories can impact other people. Like, I'm watching some of our youth kids, and I'm just like, the way they're like living and all that, and they're just like coming to me and they're like, I just need advice, and I like give all my advice. Like, I learned from what Tessa told me and like what she shared and her advice that she gave me, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna turn her story and like gain it for my story and like shape it and make my story help their story. And I think it's so crazy like how you can influence all these people in your life like just from your story. And I think you're very impactful just being you, and I think that's cool too.
Absolutely, yeah. All right, wrapping it up here. I have a few rapid fire questions for you. You guys ready?
Yes.
All right. So, if you could give your 18-year-old self a piece of advice, what would you give him?
Well, obviously, don't go to college, but other than that, just follow your heart and follow what God has for you.
Amen.
I would say nobody's perfect, and look at the fruit of the Spirit in your relationships.
Let's go. All right. Worship song that carried you through the toughest times.
Mine's More Than Able. I love that
Mine's
song.
Gyra.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
I got it tattooed on me too, so I was like, period.
If you were a kitchen appliance, what would you be and why?
Fridge, because I like to keep things fresh.
An air fryer, because everybody loves a good air fryer.
That's a great reason. What's your go-to karaoke song, and how confident are you about it?
The Climb by Miley Cyrus, and I'm not confident. You don't want me to sing that.
Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. 100% confident.
100%.
100%.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, I just want to say thank you guys for coming on the podcast. Hope it was a good
Thanks for having
experience. Absolutely.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.